Hi everyone, my name is Nitya and you are at my Flosstube channel, Daybreak Stitchery. This is a channel all about cross stitch and one crochet item today. It's the end of the month, which is when I just pop on and show you what I've been working on. So we're going to get right into it. I have tons to show you as usual. Not much going on, nothing much exciting going on this month. Busy month for work. Got to spend some time with friends and family over these past few days for my international friends. You know, we're on a holiday week this week. You might know it as Thanksgiving. For those of us who are trying to get a greater understanding of our history and to try to become more inclusive and understanding of the people who form us as a country. There are some of us who are trying to learn more about Indigenous history during this time. Indigenous history and also living Indigenous cultures. So that's kind of where we're at right now this week. So it's been a good week of learning and visiting with folks too. And there's been a lot of stitching happening. So I think we're going to get right into it. I actually have 2 finishes to show you. I'm super excited about them. So the first one, you're not expecting. I mean, I brought it up a couple months ago because I was actually going to work on this for Marathon for MMIW. And I didn't. I ran out of time, so I just picked it up this month and I worked on it, and here it is. So this is a free pattern by Jordan Nassar. Jordan Nassar is a Palestinian-American artist who uses Palestinian cross-stitch, which is called Tatreez, in his artwork. And the pattern is called Let's Tatreez. I will put a link to it below along with everything else that I mentioned today. So this is a freebie. He did a collaboration with a nonprofit group called the Mosaic Rooms, and he did a video tutorial on Tatreez cross stitch, and then also put out a free pattern. So this is a pretty traditional pattern, traditional motifs in this. The original called for a red and a black. I made it red and green. And I'll see how close up I don't know how close up my camera will let you see, but the green is DMC. It's 934, which is dark avocado green. And then the red is Silks for You, PR068, which is a combination, like if you look at that center bar there, right in the middle, the extended U, that's alternate. The dark diagonals are DMC 934, dark avocado green, and then the other red to black is PR068 from Silks for You, which I used to stitch. This is going to be a blast from the past. I used it for my Henna mandala, which I finished last year sometime, I think. So I had like a 50-yard, I think. Silks for You does these big hanks. I think they're 50-yard hanks. And I had a ton left over. This is a small pattern. This is ink circles, Henna mandala. See how it variegates from like the darker, from kind of a black or like a black cherry to red. So that's what I used in this one as well. So I'm very happy with this pattern. It's really, really generous for Jordan Nassar to have created a free Tatreez pattern and to share a little bit of his heritage with us. I definitely want to stitch more Tatreez motifs. I really like the geometric nature of it. These flower motifs are really cool. This has been such a busy month at school, and I chaperoned 2 field trips. And I met new students on one of them. It was a community service trip, so I met a lot of students who I don't have in class. And I was chatting with a few, and one of them was telling me she was super excited because she made the basketball team, and we were talking about that. And I looked at her shirt and I said, hey, wait a second, you've got Tatreez, Palestinian Tatreez on your shirt. And she's like, yes, how did you know that? We have a lot of Palestinian students at our school, so I occasionally see garments with Tatreez on them, which is so super cool. So she had designed a t-shirt, and it had like 2 horizontal bars, and then between the bars it had a row of these kind of floral motifs. So cool. And they were like little X's. They looked like little cross-stitch X's. So she was wearing that. So it's, this is a perfect example of how, I feel like you've heard me talk about this before, with certain cultural motifs, I feel like it's really important to let people from that culture be the designer of those motifs and make the money off of selling those patterns. And Palestinian Tatreez is definitely one of them. And actually, if you want to learn more about it, there are a lot of really great resources. But one of the coolest ones just came out, the new World of Cross Stitching magazine, which I don't subscribe to it. But I saw it on Instagram. I follow another cross stitch or Palestinian Tatreez designer who goes by DecoElian, and she is interviewed in the latest issue of the World of Cross Stitching magazine. So I got a digital copy. I snatched it up. And there's a really, really nice interview with her. And she talks a lot about how Palestinian Tatreez, it's not just a pretty pattern. There's a lot of symbolism behind it. It's, the stitching has been something that has like unified folks. It was a form of resistance. It was stitched, it was a way for people to make money when they were in refugee camps, when they were removed from their land and had to find sources of income. So there's a lot of power behind these motifs. So I think it's really great to be able to support people from the culture who are designing that. So that magazine, it's World of Cross Stitching. I think that's what it is. It's a UK stitching magazine, and you can get digital copies. You can buy digital copies online, and there's a really fantastic interview and a pattern from DecoElian. I'll link her Instagram page below too. I'll have a section down below in the notes that has a link of all the like designers, Flosstubers, and folks who I mentioned. And she's one of them. She actually has a shop on Etsy where you can buy a lot of Tatreez patterns too. They're really like super colorful, and she even goes, the article in World of Cross Stitching is really good because she has like a little kind of illustrations of different motifs and what they're called. She goes into how different motifs are from different regions. It's super interesting. So I recommend that one. It's the January 2023 issue of World of Cross Stitching. And then you can find some cool Tatreez patterns to stitch too. I still have to finish it, but when I was stitching on this earlier, not this time around, but when I had originally started it, I was also watching, there's a really great documentary, I'll link it below too, called Stitching Palestine. And it's like interviews with folks who do cross stitch, who do Palestinian cross stitch, and they share their stories and talk about how it means, like what it means for them to have these garments and these motifs passed on from generation to generation. That's really great. It's a good documentary, and it also, if you go to their website, which I'll link below, if you give a donation, anything as low as $5, you can stream the movie. So a good way to just get a little bit more cultural information too. So once again, that was Let's Tatreez by Jordan Nassar. It's using Silks for You and DMC 934. I don't know what this fabric is. Can you tell me what this fabric is? It's a really old fabric. Is this fiddler's cloth? It's like a very soft fabric, but the weave is, how would we describe this? Maybe loose? Like the thread, there's a lot of space between the warp and the weft? Is that what it's called? Or it's like an oatmeal even weave. I don't think it's even weave because it feels like more flimsy than even weave. I'm not sure what it is. It's a very old fabric. I've had this in my stash from between 10 and 15 years ago. It was the only, when I started this pattern last year, it was the only neutral fabric I had in my stash. That has changed since then, but I wanted to stitch on a neutral and this was all I had, so very happy with that. I'm going to hang this up, and then that I'm thinking that I might want to do that Tatreez pattern from DecoElian in the World of Cross Stitching magazine, but I might want to use the same colors because I just love how this looks. And I have more. Those hanks from Silks for You, there's so much floss there, so definitely can do more with that. That World of Cross Stitching magazine looks really, really cool. I don't subscribe. I just started subscribing to Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. I don't know if it's for me because it really is like a lot of primitive style stitching, and that's not really for me. Although there's some interesting patterns in there too. I'm still like looking through the digital issues that I subscribe to. But this particular issue of World of Cross Stitching, I wrote down some things. There were really cool stuff in there. The cover picture, I'll see if I can throw a picture up somewhere. The cover picture is a dragon that looks amazing. I've been wanting to stitch a dragon ever since I started watching the Violet Stitcher on Flosstube, who stitches all kinds of dragons, tons and tons of dragons, and they're all so beautiful. So that one, it's is it Anne Stokes? I think there's a designer named Anne Stokes, and it's her dragon pattern. I thought it'd be really cool on some kind of like super bright fabric or something. So I have not started anything new this month, which is a rarity for me, but boy, have I thought about starting a million things. So that dragon was one of, like, the second I saw that cover picture of dragon, I thought, ooh, that's going to be a very accessible dragon for me to stitch. And then there are a couple other cool things in that World of Cross Stitching magazine. There's a project, I wrote it down, by Lisa Reakes, designer Lisa Reakes. I've never heard of that person before, but they did a, you know, one of those, like a decorative panel that has hooks on it for like hanging keys or whatever. It has the word home stitched on it, but then it also has the motifs. You're stitching circles to imitate the Braille spelling of home, which I think is so cool to have something with like a Braille alphabet. And I thought that'd be really fun to try, where on the circles where you're stitching the Braille patterns, if those were beaded, because then they would even have some like texture, right? Like Braille is supposed to have texture that you can touch on it. So that might be a really cool introduction to beading. I've never beaded anything before, so that was a cool project in there. And then do you follow Miru Makes on Instagram? They're Malaysian cross-stitch designers. It's hold on, I have it written down. Michelle and Ruzana. So the first two letters of their two names, Michelle and Ruzana, makes Miru. So they're Miru Makes, and they do a lot of festival stitching, a lot of like mix of cultural stitching, because my understanding is that Malaysia is home to a lot of different cultures. So they kind of do a lot of cultural stitching there. So their Instagram page is really cool. They were just, not too long ago, I want to say, they were at some kind of festival. They had a booth set up and they were showing off their projects. And anyway, so there's an interview with them in this issue of World of Cross Stitching too. So that was really cool. So I don't subscribe and I don't have plans to subscribe, but I feel like this is that January 2023 issue has like some really cool cultural stuff in it. And then that dragon, I think it's going to be a fun issue to have. Okay. I just told you I didn't have new starts. Technically I don't, because I have a start and a finish. I did start something new, but I finished it right away. I am getting ready. Hopefully tomorrow we're going to go get our tree. We set up a holiday tree. And I like to put a lot of glittery stuff on it. We keep it very simple. It's kind of just a woodland theme, I guess you would call it. So we just put a string of lights on it. And then I like to gather stuff like at the thrift store. If I see anything that is natural or nature inspired that has glitter on it, I'll just snatch it up and like put it on the tree. So for example, pine cones. I have a set of pine cones that have like glitter and beads on them. That was a great thrift store find. And I just like, some of the things on the tree don't even have strings on them. I just like set them on the branches. But I like how twinkly, it's a very twinkly tree, which I really like. And I've been trying to put glittery stuff on it, that like anything that has glitter on it, I'll snatch up at the thrift store. And so I wanted to stitch something with étoile to put on our tree. We didn't set up a tree last year. We didn't get our act together in time to do it, and then we traveled. So this year we're going to try to go this weekend and get it. So I stitched this little friend here. And you know how it is with étoile. I don't know if it really will show up on camera. But it's this very cute little Santa. And this is a freebie also by Gazette 94, Claire. Was Gazette 94. You all probably know that blog already. I will link it below. There are so many beautiful free patterns on that blog. And so I just wanted to stitch something small and kind of holiday-like. So I have, from ages ago, I got basically like a standard box of étoile, DMC étoile, which is cotton floss, but it has filaments in it that kind of twinkle in the light. So it's a box of maybe like 24 different colors. So just some standard colors. So all of this, the whole thing, all of these colors came from that set. And I wanted to do a skin color conversion. So there were some different browns to choose from. So I made him a little bit darker skin tone. And yeah, I've got all the, like, this green, so you can kind of see the white designs in here in this lighter green. I would have liked a slightly darker green for that band, this wide light green band, but I just used whatever colors were in the set and I didn't want to get any more, so I made it work. Same with his face, like his rosy cheeks and his nose. Really, I'm not sure if that should have been pink. I made it pink because I thought cheeks can be pink, but then I'm not sure if that goes with his skin tones, these darker skin tones. I used what I had, and I think it's probably okay. So I'm hoping this will be good. It'll catch the light. I need to figure out how I want to finish it, and then I want to put it on the tree this year. And this was really easy to finish. This was actually just from this weekend. I started it on Tuesday night, and I finished it yesterday. So that was a fun one. I like that. I liked the blues and greens together. That's what really sold it for me. And there's a lot of fill-in stitching, but it was easy stitching. You know, it's the kind of stitching where, like, on his beard and hair, I could basically do the outline of it and then just fill it all in later. So, like that a lot. I'll have to think about, I think I probably want to do some kind of just flat finish for that. That seems easy. I've been watching some tutorials on it, and I might even try, since it's really small, I might even try like lacing it onto something just to practice lacing too, like to have a small project to practice lacing on. So we'll see. It's on 36 Count Witch's Brew by XJU Design, which is actually a leftover. It's what did I stitch on it? Oh, I should have brought it down to show you. It's my Bygone Stitches Autumn Quaker pattern that I've finished before. So this is leftover scrap from that. And I really like it. I actually like this kind of these purpley tones for holiday patterns because it kind of feels like a winter sky a little bit. So I think it works great with holiday. And everything else stands out. Like the white still stands out really well against it. So very happy with that. So 2 finishes. That feels pretty good. I wanted to try really hard. This is my first month of the 3rd year of my Flosstube, and I really wanted to try hard to not have new starts, even though I thought about it a lot. I have a lot of projects I want to start, but I want to try to chip away at that whips list. I have a pretty big whips list, so been kind of working on that. I have one more thing to show you. These feel a little ridiculous to show off, but I'm going to show them off anyway. They're a lesson learned. This is a really quick crochet finish. Okay, so I tried making some socks. They're really huge. So, they're going to be mostly like sleep socks, I think. But the cool thing about these, so I used a pattern from, let me look up. I don't know how to pronounce this like channel's name on YouTube. It's Brunaticality, I think. I'll link it below. But they had a really cool idea, which was to crochet. I think it exists in the knitting world, but I hadn't seen it in crochet before. This whole thing is just one long piece. You stitch a whole long piece, and she walks you through, like, how do you shape the heel, and then how do you shape the bottom of the foot and the toes. And so if this is your foot, you stitch the heel part, and then the bottom of the foot, and then the part that's going to be the toes, and then the top of the foot, and then there's a part that comes around for the cuff. So you're stitching it all in one piece, and then you seam together the ends. So which is my one? This one turned out a little better. It was experimental. I wanted to see if it could actually be done. And also the nice thing about having a holiday week right now is that I had like a good chunk of time to actually try a real project, which, you know, with the hopes of actually finishing it, which was good. So I experimented with this. So I would definitely try this again. She used a slightly lighter weight yarn, and I used a slightly heavier weight yarn, and I used the same number of stitches that she was describing in her video. So that means that my thicker yarn made for a bigger sock. The stitches are wider, so I need to decrease the number of stitches that I make, and then it should fit really well. Also, this is kind of, this is a Knit Picks yarn, and it's left over from a baby blanket that I made. So it doesn't quite, it's got a little bit of stretch. It's a cotton blend, so it doesn't quite have the stretch that like acrylic, normally you like knit with like acrylic or wool, and those have a little bit more of a stretch to them, this doesn't quite have. So I think with the right materials and with playing around a little bit more with my gauge, I think I could pull off another pair of socks. This took about 5 hours to make the pair. And I crocheted them both at the same time. So like I crocheted the part for the heel on one sock, and then I crocheted the part, I had 2 balls of yarn, right? So I did the heel and then another heel, and then the bottom of the foot, bottom of another foot, and then the toes, and then the toes. So I just kept I followed her steps for one sock, and then I repeated it on the second one. Sometimes I have like not a fear, but like I know myself, and I know if I do only one sock, or one part. I've done this with bags before too. Sometimes when you're making a bag, you have to make 2 panels, right? And then sew them together. I've gotten so frustrated with one, or like just taken so much time on one side of it that I know I won't make the second one. I haven't followed through. So I thought, well, if I just make them at the same time, then by the time I finish, I'll have both parts to it. So that was fun to play around with. It's totally a thing, like now that I know the structure of it and how to piece it together, like how the one piece works, I feel like I could play around with yarn weights, maybe even use like a sock weight yarn and try some different things, try to make it work. So that was a fun experiment to try. Okay, so those are finishes. I'm going to grab whips. That's all I've got. I've got whips, and then that's it. So I'll be right back. Okay, whips. I've got some really fun ones to show you today. I'm pretty excited about these. Okay, so the first one is Halloweeny. But I'm still stitching. I'm still working on it throughout this month. So the week of Halloween, remember how Halloween fell on kind of an odd, was it on a Monday or a Tuesday? Anyway, it was early in the week. So I was stitching on this that whole rest of the week. This is Hex Hotel by D's 20 Stitches. I absolutely love this pattern. It stitches up with these like brilliant colors. I did it slightly different colors because I didn't have the called for colors in stash, but I love, love, love the colors I'm using. And, what are they? Well, the dark is DMC 310. The moon is in A12. This is DMC Blanc, the ghost. I want to say the green is like 958. It's all DMC, 958. And then the purple is one of those 0, it's like 35, DMC 35, I want to say maybe, or 33. It's one of those shades. It's kind of like a magenta purple. I love it. I almost am down to the bottom of it because this right here is going to be the doorway, and then there will be steps coming down here. So it's really not, it's not a very big pattern. I think the measurement said it was going to come to like maybe 9 inches tall or something like that. So I love it. I still need to finish the windows in here. I just got super excited about making my way down, so I went ahead and went down. But so I worked on this the week of Halloween, and then I took this out also. This is going to be my World Cup stitching. So we're watching the World Cup right now, and many things going on in the world right now. Kind of feel like our queer friends and family need like a little extra love and support. So I'm definitely thinking of Dee when I stitch on this, and gonna keep trying to talk about showing like inclusion towards our queer friends. If you're following the World Cup, you'll know that FIFA, the organizing group, has said that they support inclusion and kind of acknowledging that queer folks matter, but their follow through on that has been non-existent. So players and teams have been trying to step up to show support, and that has not been supported by FIFA. So I feel like we fans need to step up. So this is going to be my continued World Cup stitching on this one. Plus, I think this is Dee's birthday month too. I stitched on something for the hashtag Flip D the Bird sale, which is coming up. I'll show you that too. So yeah, that's where this is at. Super excited about this. So what is it on? It's on a Fiberlicious. I think it's Sweet Tea. I forget what the name of this is. I think it's Sweet Tea, the name of this fabric. Oh no, that's what my Trans Pride tapestry is on. I don't know what this fabric is. I know it's a Fiberlicious fabric, but I don't know what the color is. I don't have the label down here. Sorry, folks. If you want me to look it up, just let me know in the messages, in the comments below, and I can look it up and let you know. Okay, so that was Hex Hotel, D's 20 Stitches. It's on an 18 count Ada, and I'm hoping I can keep chipping away at that one. Okay, next one you haven't seen in a little while because I stitch on this. Well, I'll show you what it is. Here we go. So it's the Heart Sampler by BadVibesOnlyShop. And I stitch on this whenever I get to do kind of Zoom chats, Zoom and catch up with my friend Priya, who's a friend from a long time, an old friend. And we just kind of pop in and out of each other's lives. You know, we've done that throughout our lives. And now we're kind of, this year, we've been trying to Zoom chat a little bit more and stitch on this together. She's a cardiologist. So having something called a heart sampler is really special for her. And I'm stitching a copy along with her. So this Zoom chat I worked on, I'll have to throw a picture up somewhere around here so you can see it. But basically I'm on this is the tree branch right here. There's going to be a tree coming in here. And then I worked on these hearts up here, which is not too bad. We stitched for a couple of hours. So that's a couple hours worth of stitching. And yeah, that's what we're doing, just kind of chipping away at it. I think Priya's using the called for colors, and I'm just using, I gathered up some pinks and reds from my stash, so I do not have it planned out at all. I'm just kind of, whenever I'm ready to do a new motif, I just pick a color out and hope I have enough of it. This is a Silks for You, I know, but I don't remember what color it is. One of these, maybe like this red here, is DMC 115. It's the variegated red from DMC. This is Bing Cherry by maybe Classic Colorworks. There's a color in cotton in here somewhere. So it's just whatever I got. Whatever reds and pinks I've got, I'm just throwing them in there. So that's the Heart Sampler by BadVibesOnlyShop. Okay, next whip is for Dee's birthday this month. Folks are stitching any kind of bird, and the hashtag is FlipD the Bird Sow. And so I took out my two projects from the Workbasket. I had started on this one, which is Rabbit Roundel, but I added Swan Roundel as the bird. And I'm stitching them on the same. I've been forgetting to tell you what fabric I'm stitching on. Sorry, I'm scattered today. But this is an 18 count Ada. It's Mystic by Picture This Plus. Beautiful blue fabric. And I'm using sulky threads on this. Isn't that beautiful coverage, the sulky? So you can see the rabbit. Do you see over here? The rabbit's ears and face, and then the front leg. And this is the back. So I worked kind of in this area right here. I filled this out. And then this upper paisley I finished this month too. Stitches up really fast. And then over here, I added the swan. So you're seeing the swan's head right here, and eye, and then the neck right here. I'm using two different colors of sulky. I don't have them down here, but if you want to know what they are, let me know. Sulky had a fantastic sale. Actually, I was going to show this to you. So sulky 12 weight is what folks use for cross stitch, and it comes in different size spools. So I usually get the petites, like the two that I'm using for this come on petites, which are these skinny spools, and I want to say they have like 50 yards of cotton floss on them, and it's thick enough where you can use one. So these are all one strand of sulky on 18 count. You don't have to double it up. So the other size that they come in are these big sizes like this. So this is also a sulky 12 weight, but this is a 300 yard spool. This is a color that I haven't used yet. I just have it in my stash. The color is 4022. So sulky colors all have codes on them, but if you look them up, they have names too. They just don't print the names on their spools. So they had a really cool sale. So I've been trying not to buy stuff, but I've been taking advantage of some sales this week. And one of them was sulky. Everything was 35% off and free shipping. And they had a cool thing where you could get a box, kind of like a mystery box of 10 of these 300 yard, 12 weight spools. A box of 10 of them, but they'd be like colors that they select. You don't have any say into what you get, for 18 bucks, which is a total steal, because individually, when they're not on sale, these are about, I want to say like $6.50 maybe. I never get stuff regular price from Sulky because they always have sales, so you can get these 30% off. But even 30% off, they don't match up to a box of 10 of them for $18 is $1.80 each. So That's a really great sale, $6.50 compared to like just under $2 a spool. So I'm excited to see what comes in that one. You could basically stitch a whole sampler in this, I think. This particular color, this 4022, reminds me a little bit of there's a DMC that looks like this. It's Midsummer Night, which has like blues and purples like this too. They're blendables is what they call their variegated line. They're all really pretty. The sulky blendables, these two that I'm using are also blendables. And the color changes are really, really quick. So I don't really worry too much about, you know, when I end one color, do I need to pick it up in the matching color when I rethread? I don't have to worry about it because the color changes are just so quick that it doesn't really matter. So it makes for really easy stitching. And a one strand stitching with one strand is just always so much easier than two strands. So anyway, that's from the Workbasket. These were awesome finds from this past summer when Sarah and I went to StitchCon. Before we went to StitchCon, we went to House of Stitches, which is in northern Indiana. Really lovely place. They were really lovely inside, and we really loved that they had a sign out front that said everybody must wear a mask. They like took a stand on it. I really appreciated that. And I loved House of Stitches because for me it was crammed full of patterns. Just patterns everywhere. So many patterns. Racks and racks and racks and racks. Baskets and baskets. And it had the feel for me of like going to like a thrift store, or it's not a thrift store, they're all regular prices, but it had the feel of like you had to really dig to find stuff, you know, because there was just so much stuff there. So they had a whole rack of the Workbasket, and I picked up these, and I picked up some vegetable puns too that were really cute. So that was a fun find. And we didn't even we were there for an hour because we had to keep driving. I would go back there. Anyone want to go? I would love to go back to House of Stitches, and you could spend like a whole afternoon just poking through all their patterns. House of Stitches is where I kind of fell in love with La-Di-Da patterns, which some of which are kind of prim, but some of them, they have like teeny Quakers too, and a lot of Halloween stitches that are really pretty. But they had baskets of them that I was just kind of poking through and found some really cute stuff. So I love that that's like my kind of shopping experience. You know, everyone has like, what's a treasure to you might not be a treasure to someone else. I like that kind of thing. Okay, so next whip is by Ink Circles. It's half the fun. And this one and the next one I'm going to show you were both I wasn't intending to stitch on these. I'm making my way through. See how tiny it is? Do I have the stitch count? I don't. Is it like 100 by 100? I think it's even less than 100 by 100. Let's say like 95 by 95 or something. It's really small. This right here, this star motif right here is the center. So I'm almost done. I'm like at least half, a little over half done. I have to finish out, not all of the motifs are done in here. There's some spaces, so I have to finish it out. This is a beautiful fabric, isn't it? Are you seeing the gentle modeling in this? It's Picture This Plus Feldspar, and it's in 40 count. And I really like it. It's almost like clouds. It's a very good fabric for like a sky, or even like a gentle water. Because if you look closely, you might not see it. Yeah, maybe from here you can see it. It's blue, but it's also got some beige undertones in it. It's really natural, like neutral, pretty neutral. I would say it's really pretty neutral. Oh, and this is that thread I was telling you about, the DMC Midsummer Night. See how, let me hold it up with this sulky. Now I'm not using sulky, I'm using DMC on this. It's one of the, you know, DMC, the color variations. I think it's one of those, it's like the 4000 series. So when you hold it up with this sulky, see how they're kind of similar? These are maybe a little bit brighter, the DMCs. These are a little bit more muted, but very similar. Blues and purples together are so pretty. So half the fun is just modes of transportation. So you see all different vehicles and ways to get around. It's pretty cute, and it stitches up really fast. This one and the next pattern I'm going to show you, I did not intend to stitch on these, but what happened was this has been such a crazy work month, and part of it is that I've had like conferences I've been to also, and like a lot of meetings, and I had weekend meetings, And I don't know how this is happening, but I've had several weekend meetings that are at like 8 in the morning. I had like a Saturday 8:30 a.m. morning, and then I do this book club, like an 8 a.m. thing, so early. So I barely get my coffee together, and I come down. I do it down here in the basement, the Zoom meetings, and then I'm down here, and I'm thinking I should have brought some stitching with me, but it's like, oh wait, my whip boxes are like right here next to me. So I just pulled out whatever I had that had like a paper pattern, so I could highlight while I was working. So this is one of the patterns I took out. And then I realized how close I was to finishing it. So I'm just keeping this upstairs. I'm going to chip away at it. Let's see if I can't finish it. This is what the finished one looks like. So see how that star that's at the middle? So I just have to come around and do this side of it. Almost done. So that's Half the Fun by Ink Circle. So that one I pulled out during a meeting. And then also this little friend, Autumn Dream. Remember Autumn? It feels like a dream now. We had our first snowfall already. I had like our marigolds were so pretty. I had basically thrown marigold seeds like all over the yard, like under the trees, in containers, in amongst our perennials, in the front yard, like everywhere. And they all popped up, and we had such beautiful color all the way through November. And then we had our first snowfall maybe like 2 weeks ago, and it fell on top of the marigolds, and now they're all like wilted and sad. But the last pops of autumn color made it through November, which is nice. And so I thought this would be perfect to be stitching on. Plus, I just got the new, I don't know myself at all. I saw on so this is Cottage Garden Samplings, okay? And they, Vienna, I think, is the designer, and she had just put out, like a couple weeks ago, the new monthly. She did a whole, like what's the monthly series called? But you know what I'm talking about, like animals in the into the woods or something. In the Woods was the monthly series she did this year. And then she put out her one for next year's all snowmen. It's a snowman each month and like a scene. And she had done this teaser photo with like most of the 12 months hidden, but like little bits revealed. And I looked at that and I thought, okay, good. This doesn't look that interesting to me, so I won't have to feel like I need to buy any of these patterns. And then she released the first one for January, and I said, I must have it. It's so nice. It's called the Needle Worker, and it's very cute. I don't have it yet, but I've ordered it. But it's a snowman who's a needle worker. So there's like a beautiful pair of scissors and a needle and like a thread woven through it. And the snowman has a gorgeous coat on. It's like a lot of reds and oranges, buttons all over it. It's very pretty. So I think it's good that I'm working on this because I want to try to finish a Cottage Garden Samplings before I get the next one. So I made good progress on this. Let me show you. Here's what I got so far. Isn't it so nice? I love this. Look at that little pumpkin house. All I wanted to do was get down to that pumpkin house. So I made my way around this, like the circular part down here to try to get down there and make sure I counted it out right. And then I'm loving those leaves too. Aren't they so pretty? There's a lot of fill-in stitching with these Cottage Garden Sampling patterns. I don't know if you remember, for those of you who've been around for a while, I made a Christmas present for my sister and her family. Last year it was Snow in Love. It was a snowman family, really cute pattern. And I made myself stitch the heck out of it for like November and December to try to finish it on time. And it was so much stitching, so much stitching. And so this has a lot of fill in too. Like the leaves are fill in, the pumpkins fill in, that bird's going to be fill in, those flowers. So they take time, but gosh, do they look so pretty. This is all DMC. I'm using the called for DMC for it. And the fabric is a Mystic Fabrics. It's Please Scream Inside Your Heart is the color. And it kind of looks dreamy to me, so that's why I chose it. I know pink is kind of an unconventional color for maybe an autumn stitch, but I feel like everything is popping really well on it, so I'm so glad I picked this one. So I want to do more work on this month too, because I really love how far I've gotten on it. One of the things I love about Cottage Garden Samplings is just the colors that are used. Like, you would never think to put these colors together. Like, look at the core. It's basically like a coral pink. I mean, who would ever think to use that bright orange in those flowers? This bright orange. It's $38.53, I think, DMC, and like this orange here. Just those bright tones in an autumn pattern, you would never think of doing that. And then pairing it up with these like more muted neutral tones. It's beautiful. I love it. There is a fancy floss. There are fancy flosses called for on this, but I didn't use. I just went with DMC on it, just because there is so much fill-in. And I'm up until the sales this week, I was trying not to get any flosses. I was really trying to use what I had in stash. So there's that. So that's Autumn Dream is what it's called. I'll show you the picture again. I don't think I can hold it up and show you the picture. Well, kind of. So there's, kind of see where it is and where I'm at. I got the bulk of the leaves done. I have to do these 2 leaves that fall inside here. Those are coming up next, I think. And then this whole bunch of flowers up here I need to do. This ring will actually be really easy because there are 3 colors. So there's an outer color that will go around this brown and then an inner color. That should be pretty easy to do. That's a fun one. And it's very satisfying. You know, even though you're doing a lot of fill-in, it's when you look back at it afterwards, it's a very satisfying stitch. Okay. All Souls Verlanden. So I took this out last month. Just because, not because I had worked on it, but because I had gone on a tangent about it and I wanted to show it to you. So I had pulled it out, but then I kept it out and just worked on it a little bit too. So I haven't folded it up properly. I'll try to hold it up. I can't really see what I'm doing. I'm hoping you're seeing this okay. If not, I'll just throw in a picture maybe. But so this is by Quiltify Design, and it's called All Souls Verlanden. And it's a sampler with just like a whole bunch of skull motifs, all different skull motifs in it. So Verlanden have these kind of circular and pure, diamond-shaped motifs like this. But I think it's Benjamin, who's Quiltify Design, has worked in skulls into everything. So this is an awesome fabric. It's by Needle and... Is it Needle and Floss or Needle and Flax? I always get it confused. Needle and Flax? I don't remember. Whoever the fabric dyer is. And it's called Pickwick is the color. And I love it. I think it's named after Pickwick Papers because it looks kind of newspapery. And I am using a Silks for You. It's $11.89. It's dark chestnut. So this is the color actually. And this is a really good, I think this would be good for like folks who are doing Black Sampler November, because it's got a nice dark tone when it stitches up. So what I did this month is I basically came around this bottom part. I started here. I finished the border, and the borders met, which is awesome. They matched up perfectly. And then I worked on these motifs down here at the bottom. So this like floral thing, and then this big skull over here. So because it's sulky on a 36 count, is it 30? No, this is a 40 count. I'm using a 40 count. Very good coverage. And because it's one strand, it just stitches up pretty quick. So kind of want to work on this one too. So I'll probably, I think all of the ones from this month I'll try to leave back upstairs by the couch and just kind of add strands whenever I can and keep stitching on them. I don't stitch a whole lot of samplers, but I really love this like Verlanden. It's a old German pattern, a German style of sampler. I really like it. I like the loose motifs on it. I feel like it's like a nice alternative to Quakers. I really like to stitch Quakers too, but that's what I like about those too. The kind of loose motifs, as you finish each one, it kind of feels like a little finish. So I think that's what I like about this too. Oh, it took everything in me to not start new large pieces this month. I had so many I wanted to start. Miriam Marumi Crafts, her Afshan sampler. Gorgeous. Like so many beautiful borders. I kind of have an idea of what I want to use for it too. I'm holding off on it. I'm going to try to finish some projects first before I start. The Megans, Megan and Megan, who are the long distance stitchers, they have an awesome floss too. They have beautiful finishes. They're stitching on all kinds of fun stuff. They are starting a stitch along for the Afshan sampler. And I really, really almost joined in, but I'm going to hold off. I will join in eventually, but I'm going to try to finish some things first. So that one I cannot wait to start. And then that needle worker I'm waiting on, that's not a big project. I think it's only like 100 by 130 or something. But Afshan sampler. Oh, I was watching AbiBellaStitch, and one of her birthday starts for this year was that Mermaid's Folly. Do I have it here? I have that pattern. I don't have it here though. I'll throw a picture up, but it's very odd. It's got kind of a mermaid, a topless mermaid, and then sort of this wizard-like creature, griffin creature, and then a dragon. It's sort of it looks sort of medieval. I don't know if it's an original piece that has been turned into a cross stitch, like an original document or something, or if it's someone's artwork. I'm not sure what it is, but that one I wanted to start. And Abby, of course, I mentioned on a comment on her Flosstube, I was like, that Mermaid's Folly looks pretty tempting to start. And she's like, just start it. You know how we all enable each other. But no, I resisted for a little bit. I want to eventually start it, but I'm going to try to finish something first. And then, there was so much more. Georgia Girl Stitching had just finished that gorgeous, is it Jan Houtman? It's Patchwork. I'll throw a picture up here of the design, but it's got like all these motifs that look like they're kind of crammed together. They all run into each other. And I think she started hers because Jan Hicks is doing one too, and they both are doing these like beautiful gradients. Like they've laid out all these colors. So I think Jan Hicks is using really bright like pinks and oranges for hers. And I don't remember the gal from Georgia Girl Stitching. I don't remember her first name, but she's using hers is she does a lot of beachy themed stitching. So hers transitioned from like sandy colors into water. Just so pretty. So I that's on my list to start too, but not yet because I want to think about what colors to use for that one. And then what else? I made a whole list of stuff I was going to tell you about that I almost started but didn't. Oh, Jan Hicks. So some other threads I'm going to try are from Abby, Topknot Stitcher. She had a sale where she was having all threads for 35% off. So I wanted to try some of those Cottage Garden Threads, because I have my own idea for a conversion for Jan Hicks' Palace of the Winds, which is another beautiful, kind of has little motifs all over it. She said it was designed off of something she saw in a furniture store once, I think, like a cushion or something. Anyway, the trick with that is that she uses 3 different tones of variegated threads. So I want to say it's like pinks. So there's like a light pink variegated, and then a kind of mid-toned pink variegated, and then a darker pink toned variegated. So using that same concept, I want to try to do my own colors on that. So I picked out a few Cottage Garden Threads to try out. So I'm going to see what they look like. I'm worried about those. I don't know if they will. With threads, it's always kind of a risk because I don't know if the picture is accurate enough. There have been so many times, like it happens with Sulky too. There's so many times when you receive the threads and they don't look anything like what the picture looked like. So I don't want to make too many plans for that one until I see some different threads and figure out basically what I want to do with that. So anyway, be proud of me because I didn't start anything this month, but instead I worked on items that I should be working on. I also almost started, I bought the patterns, but I don't know when I'm going to start them. Or actually, maybe I'll do one little motif as an ornament. Mama Witch X Stitch. I don't know if you've been following her latest patterns. You know, she designs all the time, but she has this beautiful and so adorable like little mushroom piece. What's it called? Did I write it down? I don't know what it's called. She has cute names for all the patterns too, but it's like these little friendly mushrooms, and like one is holding a jar with a firefly, and one is like waving these leaves around, and they are just so cute. So that's one I wanted to start. And then She has another one that says slow down on it, and it's a turtle with a cup of tea on its back. It's just so charming, so cute and charming. So I snatched up. I told myself not to add too much to my stash, but I did. Using some sales this week and things, I did grab a few patterns. I grabbed some on 123 Stitch. There are some Lizzie Kate patterns. I've never tried a Lizzie Kate before, but some of them were like half off. And there are a couple that are really cute, so I'm hoping to do kind of like I did with the Santa étoile. I thought some of those might work up really nicely with étoile and make more nice ornaments, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm just gabbing because I have nothing else to show you. I want to eventually do a giveaway. I don't have one ready for you today. I'm really sorry. I wanted to do one last month because it was my Flosstube anniversary, and then I didn't get myself together for this one, so it will happen at some point. I just don't have it ready for you now. But that's it. Let me know what you've been stitching on. Have you had some stitching time lately? What are you enjoying with all of the new patterns? I feel there's like an abundance of patterns coming out. So what are you enjoying? What do you think about like Jacob's new pattern, the stitch along? I saw it and it's really beautiful. And then right away I just said to myself, you have plenty of other patterns by Modern Folk Embroidery you need to finish first. So I didn't really feel compelled to get it right away. But I would love to know if you have, something interesting you found that you're stitching on. Do you have any like cool finds from holiday sales? Let me know, because that's all I got for you for today. Hope to have another finish to show you next month. I'm going to go get this video ready, and then I'm going to do some more stitching on Hex Hotel. And that's it. Have a wonderful end of the month, and hope to chat with you soon, either through YouTube comments or wherever. If you find me on Instagram, whatever it is. And I'll see you in another month. Thanks so much for being here. Have a good day. Bye.